You're listening to the Fast F1 podcast. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Fast F1 podcast with me, Danny Kane.
And I'm Eddie Meteye-O'Kane.
And today we're talking about the 2024 Hungarian Grand Prix. And it was an okay race, not the greatest race of all time.
Yeah, compared to most Hungarian Grand Prix, this was actually pretty dull.
Yeah, it was dull for a while, and then it kicked off toward the end. But we'll get into all that. First, Eddie, though, give us a little rundown of what happened between races and in the practice sessions.
Between races, all right. To start off, thank goodness this race did not happen last week, because we wouldn't have been able to do a podcast again, because I was sick again. But thankfully, we were able to do it on time this week. The latest in F1, Liam Lawson does some tests outside of F1 practice in the current Red Bull. People are starting to think maybe he's the person to replace Checo if Checo does decide to be fired. Because he can decide to be fired. No.
Decide to be fired?
I can be fired. Yes. Kevin Magnussen finally decides to leave Haas. Haas's only pole position score in the past 20 years or 10 years that they've been here.
Yeah. Did he decide to leave Haas, or are they telling him he's not continuing?
I'm pretty sure they would tell him that
I think they're saying he's not going to be invited back, so to speak.
Which is odd. I think that would be Komatsu's decision. If Günther Steiner was still here, he would not be doing that.
Well, we'll see.
2025 sprint calendar is released. Shock removal of Austria, which is where probably the best sprints are held, and a surprise return of Belgium. I completely forgot that Belgium held sprints. Well, a sprint. Goodwood Festival of Speed returns with a few familiar faces. How many could I name right now? I can name Logan Sargent, Fernando Alonso, quite a few F2 or reserve drivers like Fred Vesti, and drivers from F1 from 20 years ago like Karun Chandhok. Yep. Lots of people there. Yuki Tsunoda comments on rumors of Liam Lawson as a potential replacement as weird.
Yeah, he didn't think that it would be appropriate for Lawson to get the Red Bull seat. He figures that he deserves the seat before Liam Lawson. And I can't disagree with him on that, to be honest.
I definitely can't. I would totally agree with him. But the thing is, I would love to see Lawson in that car. That'd look pretty cool for him.
I'd like to see Ricardo back in
I
the
know
Red Bull
you.
car,
I would too. If he was still putting up that dominant car of his. He's really not anymore. Red Bull bring many major upgrades to the weekend, including a very weird, I noticed this, a triangular looking front wing. It was very sharp on the front, and it had like a 90-degree angle.
It looked like, I didn't see much about it. I was really busy this past week, so I didn't see much about the upgrades, but it looked like Red Bull brought a new engine cover as well.
They did,
that
yes.
was really different.
Yeah, it looked a lot like the Renault engine from a while back.
You mean the Alpine, where it had the kind of the bubble? Okay.
And it also had a new floor. So lots of upgrades for Red Bull. McLaren are the only team not to bring any upgrade to the weekend, which is surprising for them, considering Red Bull, their rival of the season, brought many. Mm-hmm. But we'll discuss later that won't stop them. Free practice. Oliver Behrman steps in for Nico Hülkenberg this time for free practice 1. I think he's got 2 more?
I don't know.
Either way.
But yeah, he's Haas bound, so it would make sense that they're trying to get him a little bit of seat time.
Yeah. See, this is what they should have done in 2021. Nikita Mazepin, I don't think had any practice sessions, and I think Schumacher had like 1 or none for Haas or for any team really. Oliver Behrman is taking lots of time to get used to the Haas car. Mm-hmm. This is how you actually, and this goes for all teams, this is how you actually get your drivers to learn the steps. I think this is a great strategy, personally. I think this is a very good strategy. Charles Leclerc loses the car on the flat-out corner, crashes, and causes a red flag in FP2. It is a pretty hard corner.
Yeah, and it seemed like that had some lingering effects, because didn't he start... He didn't make it out of Q1, did he?
No, he made it out of Q2. He actually got 6th place in the end.
Oh, okay. I don't know what I'm thinking of.
It's
then.
fine. I thought he'd get P12 in the end, but oh well. Well, not oh well. I'm very happy he got P6. Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen, and Lando Norris looked quickest out of the practice sessions. Yeah, I thought Carlos Sainz could definitely have an opportunity to win this race.
Well, he started fourth, so
He did,
I mean,
he did.
he was there with a shot at the start, but
And then he finished, I think, seventh or sixth. He finished sixth, which is where Leclerc started. So
yeah,
that's funny. Leclerc started sixth. Sainz started fourth. Sainz finished sixth. Leclerc finished fourth.
yeah,
So
they swapped those two.
they did indeed.
So then we move on to qualifying.
So Q1. How many times do we have to talk about this?
Yeah, Sergio Perez yet again in the wall, and in Q1 again. Yeah, I mean he is struggling.
I don't even think we need to talk about this anymore. This is a constant occurrence. Like, it keeps happening over again. Should we just keep cutting? Should we cut this from now on?
The saving grace for Perez this week was the fact that Verstappen wasn't quickest.
That's true.
And so and also Perez did manage to get up to 7th place by the end of the race. So he
Which
made
is
good
points.
progress.
It's
but,
points,
I
but-
mean, he should have been there. He should have been there to pick up the pieces when Verstappen had his incident with Hamilton, which we'll get on to. But
The thing
with
is-
with Verstappen having a crash, Perez should have been there to take 4th place or
Yes,
3rd place, I should
yes.
say.
But the thing is, Red Bull being the lead team, if you're the lead team of the championship, or because if you're pretty solidly with your car, you should be looking at average top 3 places in the end. Verstappen's
Yeah.
been doing that quite often. I think he's only missed it twice where he's finished.
He needs to be helping the team in some fashion, and in the last half dozen races, he's not scored but a handful of points, and he's not helping the team, and it shows because they are only now 51 points ahead of McLaren.
Yeah, and I found out today, I was actually telling my dad this in the car, Perez has not scored as much points as Lando has in the Hungarian Grand Prix in the past 7 races, and he's not finished in the top 6. Yeah, he's not finished in the top 6 in the past 6 races. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, Norris at the Hungarian Grand Prix alone, with his 2nd place, scored more points than Perez has scored in the last, 6 races or 7?
7 races.
7 races, yeah, that's unacceptably
That is
bad.
unacceptable. He
Yeah.
has to do better than that.
But he wasn't the only one from the top teams struggling. George Russell also kind of just strangely didn't manage to make it out of Q1, and for no real reason other than just had a slow lap.
Yeah, winner of the Austrian Grand Prix 2 rounds ago. Mercedes, they were looking like they were coming back, and then it all just fell apart from them again, back where they kind of were earlier in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but Hamilton started 5th, made it up to
3rd place. in the
3rd
end.
place. Well, off the start, he was up to 4th.
He was up to 4th, and then
very briefly up to 3rd, but he
We'll
was up to 4th.
we'll
and then
get into what
finished
happened
3rd. So I
later.
mean, it's not like he was miles off. But yeah, Russell didn't have the best of weekends. He did make it back up to 8th in the end.
Which was a great Perez and Russell's strategies were amazing.
Well, I mean, they did what they could from their poor starting position, but it's still an 8th place is going to be considered unacceptable for Mercedes these days.
That's true, too.
So in total out in Q1 was Gasly, Ocon, Joe, Perez, and Russell. So Q2, not really much happened other than
nothing happened.
Kind of the usual cast as far as Q2.
Except for Sargent,
Out-
who made it into Q2 again. He's
Yeah.
finally getting in there.
Well-
And Bottas as well now.
Yeah, Sargent has had a few good qualifying sessions, at least Q3 sessions.
Well,
lately.
at least for him, yes.
Yeah, by his standards.
Yeah.
So out in Q2 was Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Albon, Sargent, and Bottas.
In Q3,
So in Q3,
the lightest of rain. I couldn't even see rain, but they said it was raining.
yeah, I didn't see it either, but I think that was toward the end of the session, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When after who was it that crashed? Sonoda.
Sonoda crashed.
After Sonoda's crash, I think was when the rain came out, right?
Yes, and this was mega. We've had a lot of airborne crashes this season now.
Yeah, it wasn't the biggest of crashes, but he hit curb or hit something on the ground, and it launched him up in the air a few feet.
Yeah, he hit. He was on the grass, but then he hit like I think it was just concrete, just laying down right in between the grass.
Yeah, something
that separated the grass, and he went right up, and he went airborne and hit the left side of his car to the wall. And I saw that, and I was like, that could have been so bad.
Yeah,
he could have gone over the barrier. That could have been so nasty.
Yeah. So then after that was a red flag for his crash, and after that, the cars went back out on track. But the only person to improve his position was Ricciardo, because he passed Tsunoda, who had just crashed. And then you have McLaren locking out the front row
for the first time in 12 years.
12 years.
That's amazing. Since Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Since Lewis Hamilton has raced for that team.
Yeah, it's been a long slog for them to get back to the front, but they're there. They are. I think everybody kind of fingers them as being the favorite for the Constructors' Championship at this point, unless Perez can get his act together.
And at this point, as soon as they qualified in the top, as soon as they got a 1-2, a front row lockout for the first time in 12 years, I immediately thought, at this rate, with how much Red Bull is struggling, they could actually not even finish in second. Ferrari might even pass them in the end.
Yeah. It's possible, yeah. Ferrari's not miles behind McLaren.
Especially if Perez stays.
I think, I could be mistaken, but I think the gap between Red Bull and Ferrari is smaller than the gap between Verstappen and Norris.
It is.
So, yeah, it's very possible.
Way farther.
It's very possible that Ferrari could even catch and pass Red Bull.
It's amazing how crazy that is, though.
And, I think Verstappen's still the favorite for the championship, for the Drivers' Championship, but only because he has such a big lead.
He does.
If the points were a lot closer, I think you'd have Norris being considered the favorite at this point.
Well, he already is. He's the only title contender left. Basically.
I think he's the only one that can take it to Verstappen at this point, but I think Verstappen probably is still considered favorite to take the championship.
The thing is, Verstappen is probably going to win this championship, which, because McLaren is probably going to pass them at the end, I really hope that's the case. It might not be Verstappen for long. And if Verstappen does win this title, 2025 might be Norris. Yeah. And if 2025 is Norris, I'd be okay with that.
I have a feeling next season will be pretty close, because all the teams are kind of all of the teams are kind of coming to the same speed now. They're finding the maximum of this particular set of regulations, and so all of the teams are going to get to that point where they just can't go faster.
Yeah, next season is probably going to be one of Red Bull's last most dominant seasons for a long time.
Well, I wouldn't even consider this season to be dominant for them at this point.
Yeah, but
the beginning of the season was. This season reminds me a bit of 2009 when Jenson Button won a bunch of races at the beginning of the season.
And then Vettel dominated the second half.
Right, and in the end, Button still won it, but only because the beginning part of the season was so good for him.
Yes, exactly. And Norris and McLaren had only been doing pretty good ever since Miami, which was after Verstappen had won 4 of the 5 races.
Yeah.
So he's already got a pretty big lead.
Lap 1 of the race, in turn 1, 3 cars, 3 into 1 don't go, and Verstappen went wide, passed Norris off track, and was eventually told by his team to give the place back so that they could avoid a penalty.
And it took him 3 laps to give that position back.
It was a little while they were trying to figure out whether or not he should give the place back, but they knew that they were under investigation, and they said, well, I think that they were trying to avoid getting a penalty, and just said, we think that we're going to get a penalty, and they're saying that they probably thought that the penalty would be worse for them than just giving the place back, so they told him to give the place back.
Here's the thing. If I were the FIA, I would make a rule where it's 20 seconds to give that place back and no more.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to make a decision that quickly as to whether or not you should give the place back, because you have to watch it back on replay, possibly, and figure, analyze all of that. And so Verstappen took his chances. It didn't work out, and he had to get the place back.
He said he was ahead at the apex. I mean, he kind of was, but he shouldn't have been there.
He was kind of ahead at the apex because he braked super late, knowing that he had a huge runoff that he could go on to if he got pushed wide. He did get pushed wide, but only because Norris was also getting pushed wide.
And he went off, and he stuck with the outside line, which meant he got more of a run.
But the pass was never actually on. He was never far enough ahead to say that he had earned the right to the space on the outside of the corner.
Yeah, of course. But in the end...
So when he went off track and then sped away and took the position, he passed off track, and he was right to give the place back.
He was, eventually. But Verstappen does not lead in the end. Norris does not lead in the end. It is Piastri.
Yep, Piastri, starting from second, took the lead off the first corner. He had made a good start. Norris's starts are a bit of a problem for him. He's had several of them this year where he has not gotten away from the line
Saudi
very well.
Arabia, that was a scary one too. But yeah, he has not had the best starts.
No, it hasn't worked out the best for him.
Then again.
So then a little later in the race, Pierre Gasly retired for the second weekend in a row. Do we know why? It must have been mechanical of some
kind. It was
kind.
mechanical issues again.
Yeah. So the Alpine actually really struggled just generally this entire weekend.
That's what we saw at the beginning of the season too, though. I got about this just the other race too.
Yeah. They were miles off at the beginning of the season, and then they seemed like they were coming good, and now they're way behind again.
But the thing is, I don't think that it was them that had the worst weekend. I think it was Zhou Guanyu finishing 17 seconds behind who was it in second to last?
I don't know.
I think it was Logan Sargent.
I don't know who finished that far down, but Joe had a bad weekend again.
Joe had a horrible weekend.
Yeah.
And apparently Sargent is still ahead of Bottas in the championship, which I find hilarious.
So for the first 40 laps of the race out of 70, that's about all there was to talk about was the start and that Gasly dropped out. Nothing really happened.
Well, Verstappen had a couple of battles with Hamilton and Leclerc. He went wide at
he kind of had a little bit of a battle with Verstappen or with Hamilton, but
old rivals.
Yeah, I mean that all resulted from Verstappen pitting later than Hamilton and getting undercut.
Yeah.
But he had the pace to get back past Hamilton and did, but then got undercut again and was having to come back past both Leclerc and Hamilton.
Yeah.
It took him a while to get past Leclerc, and then he had a battle with Hamilton. And when he got there, it was not a straightforward pass.
No.
And,
if it was, that'd be a totally different story.
And like old times, the two of them had a collision.
An airborne collision.
And, Verstappen went flying. So I have two opinions about this crash. First of all, Verstappen braked way too late.
Yes.
Didn't have control of his car. He had locked up, and that's why he went into Hamilton.
Yes.
Having said that, I do think that Hamilton turned in earlier than he usually would have, and had he turned in at his normal turn-in point, he probably could have avoided a collision, and probably could have switched back on Verstappen because I think Verstappen was going to run wide, and so he would have maintained the position. In the end, neither of those things happened.
Exactly.
Verstappen hit Hamilton. It was Verstappen's fault, in my opinion, if you can even say it was anybody's fault.
Yeah, it was
the
definitely
FIA said it was a
Verstappen.
racing incident, which I agree with also.
And,
no
but
penalties.
they also said Hamilton could have done more to avoid that. That is absolutely dumb.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think so, too. I think that he turned in early, and he shouldn't have turned in quite so early. He could have taken his normal turn-in point and avoided the crash.
But Verstappen didn't even try and turn. He just locked up, but he wasn't even
he
turning
was trying
when he
to
locked
turn,
up.
but he locked up, so he couldn't turn.
Well, yeah, but
so
he locked up because he braked late, like you said.
I think more of the blame falls on Verstappen than Hamilton, and I think the stewards were correct in not penalizing either driver.
The thing is, I was thinking before the weekend, like right before the weekend, I've got an idea to change my prediction, like my big season prediction for the race. I wanted Hamilton to retire from the race, not because I don't like Hamilton. I love Hamilton. But the thing is, this year, Russell just won the Austrian Grand Prix 2 races ago and then retired from the next race. Same thing can be said about Charles Leclerc at Monaco and then Canada. I wanted Hamilton to retire after he just won the British Grand Prix.
Yeah.
That moment, I was like, please, 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 please.
Yeah. So then in the middle of all of that, you had Norris and Piastri leading the race. Piastri leading the race, Norris in second. For a long time, Piastri was a few seconds ahead of Norris pretty much the whole time, but on the second stop, McLaren pit Norris first to cover off an undercut from Hamilton, which didn't quite make sense, but that's what they did. And as a result, he ended up undercutting Piastri and being told, okay, you need to give the place back to Piastri because now that we've covered off Hamilton, Piastri deserves the place back. And Norris did not want to give it back.
He really did not. This is what I was saying. Norris does not. This was what I was saying at Emilia-Romagna and Spain. Norris does not like to listen to team orders. He really doesn't.
None of the drivers like to.
Well, of course, no one wants to yield.
Yeah. I have two thoughts about that also.
Oh my gosh.
First of all, had that not been for a win, if that had been for second and third, Norris would have given the place back right away.
Yeah,
it was only because
course.
it was for a win that Norris didn't.
Because it's worth so much more points.
And it's a race win.
And it's a win.
It's a race win.
Of course.
The other part of that, had Norris given the place back right away, he could have fought Piastri fairly for the win. And I think the only reason they waited 2 laps to pit Piastri is so that Piastri wouldn't be coming out with basically side by side with Norris. They didn't want them battling as Piastri was coming out of the pits. So they wanted, if Norris had given the place back right away, he would have had time to fight Piastri for the win. And I said to you during the race, I think Norris has this. This was before that pit stop. I said, I think Norris has got a good chance at this because Piastri tends to wear his tires out.
He does. Yeah, I do remember that.
He's not as fast as Norris in the second half of the race. And we saw that when Norris was pulling away from Piastri.
Yeah, he
got the lead.
It was kind of like he was bragging about that.
He got out to about a 6-second lead because he was faster than Piastri. If he'd have given the place back right away and then had that pace, he'd have passed him on track fair and square, and it wouldn't have been an issue. Instead, he waited way too long, argued with the team. He waited until, lap 67?
He waited till 3 laps left of the race. 15 laps, I think.
Waited a total of 15 laps?
About 15 laps. I have no idea for
sure.
sure.
Something like that, yeah. It was a long time.
It was a long time. He was fighting with his team. The thing is...
Eventually, he did give the position back, though, to Piastri. And Piastri gets his first win.
What did I tell you at the beginning of the season? I think Norris and Piastri are finally going to get their first race wins.
Yeah.
What did I tell you?
Yeah.
If only that was my big season prediction. I mean, come on.
So congratulations to Piastri for his first win.
Number 115. We've got 2 more.
115.
115th. No, that'd be more wins than Hamilton. No, 115th winner.
Okay.
115 wins, Piastri.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is that Norris was not listening to his radio. That's not the best radio moment of this race, though. I immediately, because my dad was outside for like 2 laps, which was coincidentally when Hamilton and Verstappen crashed out, ran out there. Hamilton and Verstappen crashed. Verstappen just went airborne. He was like, "You're joking."
I didn't believe you.
He really didn't. But the thing is, that radio afterwards, his manager just...
His engineer
just told him.
Yeah. Verstappen was angry all race and was having an argument with his race engineer, GP, basically the entire race. It seemed. Yeah. And had a lot of very expletive-laden radio communications after the race as well.
Yes,
telling the stewards or telling the medical examiner to look at the stewards rather than him. So
and he told the critics to F off or something.
Yeah.
But the thing is, his race engineer, after he complained about the Hamilton crash, which was so dumb, the race engineer said, "I'm not even going to get into this, Max. I don't want to have..."
He said, "I'm not even going to get into an argument with the other teams.
Yes.
Radio.
It's
or something like
childish.
that.
And I was like, dang.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Verstappen was being pretty childish whole race, if you ask me.
He quite definitely, if anyone's childish on the radio, who would you think it would be?
Well, and I got to be honest, this is why I haven't ever really liked Verstappen, is because I think he's arrogant and childish.
He's very aggressive on his race strategy.
He's aggressive. I mean, aggressiveness, I can kind of get that, but he seems very spoiled.
He
to
does,
me, and I can't. Yeah, he seems like a sore winner even, and
definitely.
Yeah, I don't like Verstappen for that reason.
I don't think we've seen that since Vettel.
And I promise you this: if it had been Verstappen in Norris's shoes, there's no way he would have given the place back to Piastri.
No!
And it still kind of shocks me that Norris even did. But in the end,
he didn't give it back to Perez that one time at Brazil. I wouldn't even be surprised.
And that wasn't even for a win.
That was with his teammate. If he did it for Piastri, Piastri's still new to
for
the
any
sport.
teammate, there's no way that Verstappen would give up a win. Period.
It's like Vettel and Weber at the one race, the multi-map 2-1 or whatever it was, the multi-21.
So let's move on because this is getting on to a pretty long podcast. Let's move on to our predictions for the race. You had said that the top three would be Verstappen, Hamilton, and Sainz. How'd that work out?
None of them were right, including my mega prediction of the season. Haas would score over 10 points. Neither of them scored any points.
You didn't get that one either. So Hamilton was at least in the top three, but not in second place.
Congratulations on the first driver to score 200 podiums.
Yeah, but 200 podiums for Hamilton. That's
gigantic number.
not a small feat. I had said Russell, Verstappen, Piastri, and Piastri was in the top three, but he won the race, didn't get third. So I didn't get any of those. And I said that Haas would get a double points finish, which I'm not even sure if either of them finished in the points.
This is probably going to be our worst predictions ever.
So, I don't.
None of these predictions.
Did either of them finish in the points? I don't know.
Which ones? No, neither of them did. In the end, it was Piastri, Norris, and then Hamilton rounding out the top three, followed by Leclerc, who had passed Verstappen after his crash. He barely passed Verstappen, dropping Verstappen to fifth, which gives Norris plus 8 points because Russell got the fastest lap. Verstappen finished fifth, Leclerc fourth, Sainz sixth. I think Russell got eighth, Perez seventh, and then in the end it was Tsunoda in ninth and Stroll in 10th. I'm pretty positive that's all right.
All right, I'm looking it up. So it was Piastri, Norris, Hamilton, Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz, Perez, Russell, Tsunoda, Stroll.
Come on, yeah, let's go.
The Hasses finished 13th for Hülkenberg and 15th for Magnussen. So
not the best race for them, but
poor predictions for us, I think.
Very poor predictions for us.
So coming up at Spa, what's your prediction for the top three at Spa?
For Spa-Francorchamps.
In Belgium.
At Stavelot.
Yeah. So what's your predictions for the top three?
Norris is going to take the race win. McLaren are looking so strong.
Yeah.
I think it's either going to be Norris or Leclerc. I think Leclerc might bounce back eventually. I think Ferrari might be good here.
Okay.
I mean, Leclerc took his first win here.
So Norris gets the win, and then what?
I don't think it's going to be Leclerc in second, though. I do think Leclerc will get third, but I think that Verstappen will get second. I'm pretty confident about this one.
So you're saying Norris, Verstappen, Leclerc.
And obviously, Perez not even to finish in the top six.
And I'm going to say Verstappen, Norris, and then and I'm going to say Perez in the top three.
Perez?
Yeah.
You just screwed over your predictions for this race, Dad.
I don't think so. I think that the Red Bulls are going to be pretty strong there. It's a high-speed track, long, fast straightaways. And I just think that Perez will finally have a good race, but
really?
I think it's going to be too little, too late for him. But
because this might be his last race.
Very well could be. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that's.
Do you have a crazy prediction? Do you have a big prediction that you want to put out there? Not a crazy one, but
because this
extra one.
None of our big season predictions will count towards the end of the season anymore because we both used them in Hungary apparently.
Okay, didn't know we were keeping track, but okay.
Yeah, Spa, really, there's never really any big crashes unless there's a big crash at Radion or Eau Rouge or whichever one's which. No one knows anymore. But I don't think there's going to be too big of a crash there. We haven't seen one there in years. I mean, the last one was like the lightest contact between racing points.
Okay, so what do you think?
You
got to put your nickel down.
Oh, gosh.
I'll tell you mine in the meantime.
Okay, fine.
I'm going to say Alonso top 5.
No way.
I like how you think that that's not even possible.
Well, no, I wouldn't be saying that last season. I'd say top 4.
So what do you think then?
Yeah, Gosh, this is a tough one. I'm going to go...
Perez crashes out of Q1 again.
Or won't even get out of Q1? Yes. I actually am going to do that one. He's not going to get out of Q2.
Okay, so Perez...
I'm going to play it a little safe here. He's not even going to get out of Q2.
So I'll say that Perez not into Q3.
Yeah, if he does it again on probably his last attempt, oh my goodness.
Well, that flies in the
Way
face
to
of my...
finish your career, man.
That flies in the face of my Perez top 3 finish.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have to see.
One of us is going to be right, the other's going to be wrong.
Yeah, well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode then.
30 minutes, my
30
gosh.
minutes, we're into this one already, so we got to wrap this one up.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll look forward to
These keep
the
getting longer and longer.
Belgian Grand Prix at Spa,
Yep.
and can't wait to review that race. And then we're into the summer break. So
We are.
Until then, this has been the Fast F1 podcast with me, Danny Kane.
And I'm Eddie Meteye-O'Kane. It's
Thanks
gonna be
for
a
listening.
long break.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Well, we're not there yet.
Yeah, thank
one more
goodness.
race.
Well, that's 1 week away.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Make sure you give this podcast a like on your favorite podcast platform, and we will see you after Belgium.
We will indeed.
Fast F1 is produced by Danny Kane and Eddie Meteye-O'Kane. All rights are reserved. Music is performed by Alex Zavesa. Thanks for listening.